Hello, everyone. Tony Luffman in Studio 21 with sad news to report. Gordie Howe, the man known as Mr. Hockey, has passed away. Considered one of the greatest all-around players the game has ever seen, Howe was a 23-time All-Star over his 26 seasons in the NHL and helped lead the Red Wings to 4 Stanley Cups. Number 9 left a lasting mark on the sport that few can match. Steve Mears takes a look back at the life of Gordie Howe.
Our next guest tonight really needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Detroit's number 9, Mr. Hockey, Gordie Howe.
He was Mr. Hockey, and his impact on the game was immense. Gordie Howe was a tantalizing mix of speed, skill, brawn, and brains. He could shoot or pass from either side. He could score, he could hit, and he could fight. That gave him lots of room on the ice and a special place in the history of hockey. Gordie Howe was born on March 31st, 1928, to humble roots in Floral, Saskatchewan, 1 year before the Great Depression. In 1946, a shy 18-year-old Howe found himself on the Detroit Red Wings roster. His nickname became Power, and the Red Wings became a powerhouse. Howe played on the production line with Sid Abel and Ted Lindsay, one of the greatest lines in NHL history. Together, they produced 4 Stanley Cups. Howe missed the first championship in 1950 after sustaining the worst injury of his career. He was knocked out of the semifinals with a skull fracture that required surgery to relieve pressure on his brain. He recovered to win the Art Ross Trophy the following season, and shortly after married his eventual wife of 55 years, Colleen. They had 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter. Together, they were Mr. and Mrs. Hockey, and they would work as a team in all aspects of life, particularly after teammate Bobby Bond informed Gordie that Detroit owner Jack Adams was taking advantage of him.
He said, "You're stupid." And I said, "Mm-hmm." I said, "That's fine, I agree with that, but what's your reasoning?" He said, "I'm making twice as much as you are." And I said, "Excuse me?" And he said, "Well, how much am I making?" He told me. It woke me up in a hurry. And he said, "There's other people making more than you are in the club."
At Gordie's request, Colleen took over as his business advisor. She became the first female agent in professional sports and turned number 9 into a national brand. Colleen was heavily criticized, but just as she looked after her husband, Gordie protected her.
Anybody who said anything against Gordie Howe or any member of our family, they're in trouble, period. And I don't care who. It could be the President of the United States or the Prime Minister of Canada. If he said something bad, yeah, he'd have to contend with her.
A pass for Howe. Then Horton off right. Here's Gordie Howe going in to shoot.
Gordie remained a force until the arthritis in his left wrist became so burdensome that he retired in 1971 after 25 seasons. He was enshrined in the Hockey Hall of Fame the very next year. But staying retired was one of the only things Gordie couldn't do well. 2 years after he hung up his blades, Colleen packaged a deal to have Gordie join sons Mark and Marty with the Houston Aeros of the World Hockey Association. They became the first father-son teammates in professional sports. After 2 Avco Cups and an MVP award, Gordie and his sons became Hartford Whalers in 1977. 2 years later, the Whalers were one of 4 WHA teams to merge with the NHL.
Howe coming up on the right side. Howe over the line to his father. Son to father. Back into. They score! Father Howe. And number 5, Mark Howe.
Howe made a triumphant return to Detroit in that season's All-Star game.
And from the Hartford Whalers, representing all of hockey with great distinction for 5 decades, number 9.
Gordie Howe attempted to retire once more in 1980 at the age of 52. His career spanned 33 professional seasons over 5 decades. His records were astounding. He left as the game's all-time leader in goals, assists, and points. Howe played for 26 seasons and was one of the league's top 5 scorers for 20 of them. He racked up 22 consecutive 20-goal seasons and claimed 6 Art Ross trophies. Number 9 won 6 Hart trophies and was an All-Star 23 times. But old habits are hard to break. Howe returned in 1997 to sign a 1-game contract with the Detroit Vipers of the International Hockey League. He played 1 shift to become the only player ever to play in 6 decades. Howe didn't quite have his old burst, but then again, he was 69 years old.
Please welcome the winners of this year's Lifetime Achievement Award, Gordie and Colleen Howe.
Gordie put his final retirement to good use. As an ambassador, he used his self-deprecating humor and humility to promote the game and charitable causes. Gordie and Colleen would lean on each other through yet another challenge.
Mrs. Howe had her annual checkup, and son Murray said, Mom did real good. He said, yours is a little different. He said, it's good news and bad news. He said, you have skin cancer. He said, but it's curable.
Howe survived the cancer scare, but nothing could prepare him for the next diagnosis. Colleen developed Pick's disease, a rare form of dementia. After all the years Colleen looked after him, Gordie looked after his beloved partner. Colleen lived long enough to see Gordie named as the winner of the NHL's inaugural Lifetime Achievement Award in 2008. But she passed away the next year.
After I retired 16 years ago, you mentioned that you wished I would have worn your number 9 Red Wing jersey for just one game.
As Gordie's mental health began to decline, he watched with immense pride as his son Mark was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2011. To many, he was the greatest all-around player the game had ever seen. And there couldn't be a name more fitting than Mr. Hockey.